Welcome back, folks, to Roadside Nuggets. It is a beautiful Saturday evening, at least here on this side of things, folks. Definitely, we're coming off on the skimpy ends, on the skim ends of the Equinox Energies. This is about the last part of whatever is coming through. It's coming through in these last couple of days, and definitely we're going to see more of the unraveling of that. Moving forward. Basically, this how this energy works is the energetic portal window dates, they happen, energy comes into the planet, then there is periods of time where that energy is actually integrating and downloading into wherever it's targeted at. Then after that point, then after whatever energy has come in, it causes what we would call a chain reaction. So whatever the energy was meant to do consciously, vibrationally across the planet, it will start to trigger off and start to implement that moving forward. So that's why we're, a lot of times when we see like all these big energetic dates like the Lions Gate and the 8/8 portal, we see that around like August, and then once we get to this point in the year where things start getting really deep and introverted, but also internal within ourselves, with what's just going on, what comes up, you can kind of see how it sets the tone. It really gets a lot of energetics laid out on the table. So by the time it comes to feasting time, ironically, Thanksgiving's in November, which is during the time period. By the time you get to feast time, it is like, whole snap, what's on the table, and it's a lot. So definitely thank Mama, thank the angels, thank your higher selves for getting you primed up and amped up for these events to unfold, because you got to clear it all out. This is what's in the way of our self-realization, of us waking up further, of us moving further along our trajectory, wherever that is at. And I have no idea why this is not charging the battery. One moment, folks. Because there we go. It was plugged in, just wasn't registering apparently. So there we go. All right. Beautiful. So moving forward. So basically, what I want to talk about today is life is already chaotic and crazy enough. And then the mess we make for ourselves with, the confusion, the doubt, the distrust, lack of faith, the worries and anxieties, it doesn't really make our life or our roles here any much easier to deal with at all. And this, you make more work for yourself. You make a taller ladder, so to speak, you have to climb. And this has a lot to do with your own internal battle with yourself. Everyone has like this, they talk about the internal struggles, of yourself, or internal wars, or battling yourself, or, there's a lot of stories and just, analogies people have made over time about, humanity's many different experiences with that particular perspective, and just what that internal war with ourselves looks like, what our inner demons are, what our inner fears are, where our limitations and comfort zones, where the box is, where that wall is for the box we live and exist in, and what we have to go through just to push past that, whereas it could be vastly different for somebody else in their experience. And that internal, struggle with yourself, a lot of times it's, things you ultimately don't want to face. People don't have a solid center, solid foundation, or anchored, core within themselves, confidence, or being able to trust their own feelings on things, rather. It creates this dynamic where things are very uncertain, and that uncertainty causes a lot of anxiety and distress within you, because to you it feels like instability, or instability. And to you, it feels like displacement in a lot of ways, because if you don't know for sure, then that's what causes the anxiety and fear, because you think If you don't know, then it could be bad. And that's ultimately what our minds try to take us to, is that, without proof and evidence, it could end badly, or it will be a bad result. And so we hastily struggle and rationally push ourselves through different experiences just to obtain the evidence or the proof, just so we can console ourselves in some externalized, trust or stability that it's all going to be okay. It'll work out. When ultimately, if we could have did that from the very beginning, we would have saved a lot of energy, and also would still have arrived at the same truth to begin with. Drink your water, folks. And then this also leads part where ultimately a lot of people's internal struggles. This is where a lot of people fall to obsession with addiction, and just completely not being able to fully cope with their full reality in truth. Because a lot of things internally, like, you have to look at it. If people are fighting a lot of things inside, most of the time it's not the things that people are actively talking about outside, their living, their job, all those are all things like that. Those are all external. I'm talking about the internal things that people never talk about. They don't confide really in a lot of people. They don't trust people with it, or things they have done, the way they think, and they're masking that or trying to portray a different way of that. They are a different person to other people because they want to be accepted, because they don't feel the version of the true nature of who they are is something acceptable to modern society or to the population community around them. And this causes people a lot of distress, because if they don't have outlets to express this, ultimately it feels, one, like you're living a lie. It's a really gross feeling to feel inside, like you're living a lie to yourself. You're not really who you are, to people. And then actually you can feel that it's kind of like your heart feels it too. When people really do like your personality and behavior, or just like you find people that do, magnetize or vibration and match you, it's weird, because like in those moments you wish like you were being who you really are, because you wish they could be the same way towards who you really are, but you don't show that, and that's not who you have shown them to this point. Right? So like, and I've been there in a couple moments of that in my life growing up, where you've gotten so good at the mask and just playing off a certain part of yourself to people, but then you manage to find friends or people who enjoy that part of yourself, to where it brings back this longing, like, man, I wish like I could just be my real self, in front of these people, and they would be the same way, and like that's distressing too on the level, because like, why would you even find yourself in that situation if you haven't been living a lie up to this point, And people don't want to face this. These topics are scary to people. This is confusing. This is agitating. And it doesn't bring people joy, to sit with themselves and realize that they have probably bamboozled themselves and dug themselves a little bit deeper in a hole that they didn't have to. When ultimately just loving themselves was the key to begin with. Let's go back into, the theme of not giving up on yourself. There's so much going on in this world. There's so much that has already happened. There's so many things that are unraveling and unfolding as we speak. And, ultimately, with the extreme energies on this planet, a lot of people fall into quite a few holes, into being either people who absolutely do not give a fuck about anything, or people who are so attached and so they care way too much to the point where they just automatically self-destruct, self-sabotage, where it takes them out, and just ultimately give up, And I know there's a lot of individuals out there, when we share about this with, just the long push, living through the years of dealing with the same thing over and over again, or fighting and struggling with the same thoughts, the same ideas, the same feelings inside, that just other people just would not and cannot understand. And this is a very stressing situation where people, they don't know where to put these parts of themselves. There's not really a lot of things to help them decipher and understand themselves in this light. And so humanity in essence of self-preservation, not wanting it to be seen by other people until it's something that they feel or deem fit for, modern society for people to be aware of. And that's number one of the survival tactics of, just hide it, unless it's something that be supported and accepted by the greater whole. Other than that, it's hidden, it's out of sight, And this is where we've gotten to these natures where we've learned how these different parts of ourselves where we've expressed it over our life, or we've, grown, through our life from childhood on up into adults. And just different characters, different natures of our own self where, somewhere along the line we somehow think or intellectually have denoted them to parts of ourselves that are not, acceptable or not, maybe not us, in an adult way. We shouldn't be acting like this. We shouldn't be talking like this. We shouldn't be expressing ourselves like this. We started picking ourselves apart along the way a long time ago. Of course, it was from, exterior acceptance, from external acceptance from others, individuals. But of course, you were seen observing other people. And so we just kind of did this copy and paste mimic thing where, we're just trying to understand what everyone's doing, because like nobody else actually knows what they're doing either. Everyone's kind of like looking at everybody else, and everybody's looking at each other, and they're all trying to figure out, and nobody's figured it out yet. So it's all a show. It's all just a mass, production going on, of people improvising, totally just improvising on the spot, and a lot of it's robotic too. Where it's just repetitive over and over again as a filler because there's nothing organic to improvise or to bring in that moment. It's just very fascinating, But when people get to this place where they give up, they've reached so many parts of themselves consciously to where the purpose, the idea, the intent, the motivation, the passion itself, it no longer serves them. It's no longer It's not enough to fuel them and for them to push, to where whatever it is that is an obstacle or is the wall in their way, this is where, falling into giving up or feeling defeated, or this is where people also just, and this is the survival part, that also is very interesting too, because survival is not just fight or flight. It can go deeper in layers. It's multidimensional, whereas like just out of self-preservation, but in the fear and the anxiety of the detriment of the result, what's going to happen out of that fear, where people give up. They also fall to self-sabotage, where in that fear is like it's a weird sense of conscious thinking or unconscious, but it's based out of like that the primal fear of survival, where if you're going to go out, you're going to go out in your own terms, or you're going to go out in your own fashion or your own way, or you're going to take something out with you. These are things that we've all probably have said younger growing up in anger, or have heard in movies and things, where at that point of someone going that far, it's not even just that. They're willing to take something else along with them out, and just that line of understanding. It's a lot of like in human nature with that too, with themselves, self-sabotage, destruction. And that can be, just with someone's own individual self and in their experience, or it could also, be a lot of people who have, in human history have tried to take other people or other things out with them in that same fashion, and in efforts to, because it's like that's like the last resort, and giving up is like, okay, what do I have but my life? And that point, at that point, it seems to a lot of people so little, they feel like it's nothing's left. But in also case, it's in a flip, it's valued the most. It's like my life is the last chip I had to play. And so if I'm going to play this chip, it's going to be the biggest chip I play. And so you can see where that mentality can actually, it weighs the gravity. It definitely weighs the gravity of a life, of the experience, you being here, that you not being here anymore means something. Like they, to a certain level, they can feel it, the gravity of that choice that, this is my last chip to play, but I'm going to play it big, so meaning where I'm going with this is, when giving up, giving up isn't just giving up. It's not just like this lackadaisical, lazy energy where people just like, oh, I don't want to do that no more. It's deeper than that. There's so much that's gone into the push the entire time. There's so much has gone into, working and getting ourselves there, or whatever the goal was, that by the time we arrive to this, so many thoughts have been thought, so many emotions have been felt, and so many different experiences, even traumatic, have come to the surface and also have been experienced freshly, to where there's so much going on before that giving up happens, that if we could just change our perspective to more enthusiastic, more positive, more, bigger picture perspective in general base, and light and love, not based out of lower frequencies or fear, or lower timelines. You can see where we can flip this for ourselves, because at that point where you're ready to give up, because humanity has been made so docile, we have been so suppressed, we are more likened in nature, just out of conditioning and programming, to be more aligned with the lower frequencies of fear, anxiety, aggression, rage, sadness, loneliness, things like that. So based out of it, so if we could flip it, at that point of giving up, of walking away, of throwing in the towel, of feeling defeated, if humanity knew the higher flip of how to flip that, and so in those moments when the giving up comes knocking on the door, and we feel that's our only, choice and option, that's where we choose to push it, right? Even if everything logically, everything you can analyze, everything telling you in your head, in your mind, that this is it. There's no way, there's nothing you can do. There's no fixing it. This is it. Even at that point when you just think it's all right, I just got to give up, or you just quit. If you flip it and you push it one bit further, just push it further, and decide to really push it, choose it anyways, jump, right? Be brave, be courageous, grab your rainbow balls, grab your confidence, empower yourself, and still push it. Hear that? Still push it. You will see a massive transformation happening. Because humanity doesn't, through our years of living on this planet as human beings, we haven't really been taught that much about the ego, or how the ego's manipulated its way into our experience, and just how that monkey on our back is able to get in there and well, cause all kinds of things to happen. So with definitely, the ego. One, the ego is nothing mom created. God didn't create the ego. It's a complete abomination that was created out of the separation from God. So whatever that, when you have, I guess you can call it defect. It's an unnatural defect in creation that happened out of things being so far out of alignment. And that's just kind of the summary we'll give it today in quick base story. It was back to our topic of not giving up. This has everything to do with, our human spirit. All right. A lot of people are still so attached and focused to their human life and, just their goals from a human perspective in a 3D world. But if it was so much more than that, and you were so much beyond that, where are your goals in alignment to that? Have you even allowed yourself to envision things that grand, that big, where you see yourself in that big of a light, Have you even given yourself space to hold that at all? Yeah, these opportunities where they're just right there and they're so simple to choose, yet if you don't choose them, it's not going to start changing your consciousness in that way. There's so many concepts that'd be so easy to grasp by humanity if they just for a moment, it's not even really thinking out of the box, it's really just allowing yourself to expand beyond what you thought you believed and what you're holding yourself to, and just consider, what if, right? So most of the time, just like, what if I'm right? Right? What if it was possible? What if this were true? And just by you even considering it, even allowing yourself to hold space for a moment just to consider this, it by far in that moment already has the moments it needs to start changing your consciousness. You've already started to shift. Just because you are allowing the steel gates, so to speak, down, your walls down, and allowing yourself to consider something that is way far out of your parameters that you've allowed before, this far, this boundary, your own self-teaching of yourself, just where you are with being taught from other people, just how much you have excavated in your entire life, and what you have, if your life was a stack full of paperwork that you could put on your desk, if you put it all on the desk, if that was your life right there, with everything out of that whole thing, if that was your whole life, how much of it have you really deeply have dived into, And people are a constant observation. They're like, don't kid yourself. People are definitely trying to do the day-to-day mojo, regular 3D rush, but they're definitely like, people have been waking up for a long time. People have been catching on to these things for a long time. But we got to get it to not just, catching on, not just like, oh yeah, I'm aware, not just, oh yes, I've heard this before. Let's get it to, okay, let's talk about it. Let's move hands and get things in motion and physically apply it in some way. Let's get somewhere with it, right? Because for too long it's been such a, I've heard this, it's got to be more than just what you heard. It's got to be something that we start living, we start really getting to know better, we get familiar with as our own organic nature. That is what beings that are charged with the responsibility and accountability of an entire physical planet, and thus everything that exists within it, we kind of need to know those things. It's important. You can't be lazy tenders to God's garden. You got to be aware of what is in God's garden and how to take care of it. And so therefore that is a requirement for all sentient life beings on this planet, i.e. everyone with a soul. And you have no choice. So welcome to beautiful Earth equals heart. And just for everyone's awareness, the Earth is actually in the shape of a heart. I don't know if you knew that, probably didn't. But it's not an actual ball. It's actually the shape of a heart. Just so it's a fascinating little piece of information for you from Mother God there. But definitely, so let's go back to talking about giving up, right? So the solutions, how do we flip this for ourselves? When people get to a point in their experience where, the doubts are just so much, okay? The lack of faith and the distrust in yourself that you can actually do it, or that you definitely need someone outside yourself to help you, or even the perspective of, just wanting to throw it all away, self-sabotage, self-destruction, or wanting, or like vengefulness, revenge, bitterness, avenging energy, because when people are avenging something, or going to revenge, or going to spite, really that is a lot of ways a sign of them showing that they have given up. To resort to those energetics is more of a retaliation. And so you would retaliate if ultimately, like if there's been something done. So retaliation happens as a side effect, as a part of a cause happening. And so if we just root out those little middle energetics in there, right? Get the whole retaliation part out, and just look at the cause again, the core points within us that are stemming within us, that are allowing that experience, that are allowing us to even think those low frequencies about ourselves, right? Because when we go into giving up, it's not the situation right then and there that's causing us to feel, okay, I'm going to give up, right? There's a lot of things that's happened over your life to that point that's gotten you to what your limit is before you give up. So what's created your limit to give up? You know, what's have you lived through and endured through already that is now part of your reasoning for, okay, this is as far as I go before I give up? You know, something had to create that capacity for you, so you get to a point where like, okay, this is in my life, my age, and my capacity as myself, this is how much I can take. I can't do it anymore. What is it based off of, though, right? People want to still attach it to something external happening, but let's go deeper. Let's go further into it. What else is it attached to? What's behind that, right? Let's go a little further back, and that has to do with your life, has to do with even childhood and everything growing up, and just how you have handled your life and your experiences, your thought process, and how you see things. All of it feeds into your understanding that leads you to the point of like, okay, this is it. I'm giving up. Right, so you giving up isn't just giving up. It's a lot of other things under the surface that is leading you to saying I'm giving up. So if we can get to the point of like, where is the stuff under the surface, the core parts of that self, you know, and realizing that we are special, we are powerful, beautiful, co-creative beings that God put here on this planet. You know, the divine love and unconditional light that's pouring through each and every one of us as innocent souls, innocent beings on this planet in this experience, you know, meant to help flip this whole reality back to 5D unity consciousness, love everywhere present, you know, the highest timeline. All of these things are not what they tell you in school. It's not what you hear about on the news and TV. That's not what, you know, people have been, you know, raised and taught, you know, in their home family lives or what the people tell the children. You know, these are the remarkable things of what human beings actually are and what we're here for. Yet everybody else wants you to be distracted. And so, you know, and this is what we have to fight back on. This is what we have to keep rehardening each other, be the love mirrors that we are for each other, and keep stay focused on, yes. It's not like, you know, come out here and be all light and bright and shiny and be holier than thou. It's about focusing on all the things of where is humanity at, okay? Is humanity what you came here to help lead, to help, you know, ascend this planet with? Yes, okay, then where's humanity at? Because they're not at the altar. You know, they're not in like, everybody is not outside with the crystals and everything like that. No, everyone is lost in the illusion. They're in pain and suffering. They're in trauma. So if that's where humanity is at, you got to focus on where humanity is at, and you have to help guide them from that. So it's not about just being holier than thou and all just like, you know, you have to be real, be transparent. That's what part of being, you know, a leader and a servant of love is you go where love is being called to. It's not about setting up this little white picket fence and saying, okay, I'll do my part over here and y'all go get them. Like, it's about everybody pitching in and, you know, being a part of that process. So, the honor and respect and the value of humanity and also thus yourself is going to be a big key player in us, you know, re-inspiring ourselves, but also filling ourselves back up. Into, you know, beings that can actually really stand on 2 feet and co-create powerful things with each other and powerful visions and be able to express and communicate powerful things with each other because we can own that and claim that within ourselves. It's something we can live by example, so it's also something we can give to each other, and that's how we create a better, more vibrational, high vibrational, more higher reality experience for us all. Is by choosing to live and breathe that every day, and that's all that in that point that can be reflected back to us. You know, it's very, very grand things. But I have this awesome video I want to show you from Mr. Robin Williams, so stay tuned.
No matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world.
Time for your next adventure. have no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow.
How exciting. Poetry, beauty, romance, love. These are what we stay alive for.
Oh, and she had the goods on me, too. She knew all my little peccadillos. People call these things imperfections, but they're not. Oh, that's the good stuff. And then we get to choose who we let into our weird little worlds.
And we all have a great need for acceptance. But you must trust that your beliefs are unique, your own, even though others may think them odd or unpopular, even though the herd may go, that's bad.
You don't know about real loss, because that only occurs when you love something more than you love yourself. What's wrong with death, sir? What are we so mortally afraid of? Why can't we treat death with a certain amount of humanity and dignity and decency and, God forbid, maybe even humor?
No matter what anybody tells
As we come to the end of this phase of our life, we find ourselves trying to remember the good times and trying to forget the bad times. We come. Please, don't worry so much. Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky, when the stars are strung across the velvety night, and when a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day. Make a wish. Think of me. And make your life spectacular. I know I did.
You do come close to losing it? Oh, yeah. Pushed it right to the edge. So I had to come out now. Tell you, I'm giving up. Just not the way you think.
Sometimes when you win, you lose.
You do come.
Thank you, Igor. I love you. Anyway, so as I was saying with the, so with giving up, what Robin was saying there at the, I love you, Igor, brother. What Robin was saying there at the end of that clip about, he's giving up, but it's not in the way that you think. And it's important to just like see the higher flip of that. Like giving up is not always this defeated sense of, you're defeated, you weren't able to, conquer, you weren't strong enough, you didn't measure up, you are not, worth it. We get to this point where like it's like a medieval perspective where like two opposing sides, a battle, and both have to ensue in battle until one side is decided the victor. One side is strongest, one side is the weakest, one side wins, the other side loses. And this is like a very 3D dense perspective to have, where we consciously think a lot of things through this way of almost as a template, and where like when Robin was talking about like I'm giving up, and it's just not the way you think, and sometimes you think you win, you actually lose, and that's the whole point. It's like what battle are you actually fighting? What game are you trying to win? What are you trying to actually be the winner of? Did you ever stop and ask yourself that? What's the big stage play going on? It's like you've been like pushing yourself the entire time, trying to make it and trying to be the achiever, the successor, and make something of it, or you make a title or a status or whatnot. But like, what's the stage play? What's the main script? What's the theme? What's the whole stage plot? What's going on even at all? Why are we even doing it in the first place? And that's where Robin's like, I'm giving up, just not the way you think. It's like just like more like walking away, because even in that mentality of like a battle, of a war, trying, like, one side can't walk away. It has to be decided through the battle, the war, and that's what's going to decide who's the strongest. But what if you just walk away? What if you don't even give any more energy to it? You just give up on the illusion, give up on the nightmares, give up on the fear, give up on all that. What if you just give it up, literally, and just walk away from it, and decide no longer that it's going to hold this weight over you, and it's not going to hold this weight within you, weighing on your emotions, weighing on your discernment and your choices, what you choose for yourself. When you're doubt and your anxiety and distrust in yourself, you're no longer going to allow this to be the weight for it, right? You're going to give this up. Because you can see what it's doing to you. You can see what it's allowing to keep happening and transpiring in your life. What it's doing and destroying your own spirit, your own self-esteem for yourself, your own love for yourself, or just what the love you can put into things. The things that you can enjoy, the things that bring you joy, the things that you can bring joy to others for and through doing. This is where the ego loves to take hold and create bitterness, to taint it, it's like a poison, toxic poison that just, it ruins and spoils it. And ultimately it gets you to a point where these things that did used to bring you love and joy and excitement and bliss, they now just hold bitter regret, resentments, grief, or, betrayal in them, because of what other things you've allowed to come into that experience and taint it. This is where we have to be responsible and accountable, yes, not only for our own actions and choices and energy, but also for those others. If we're not observing the things that we are working with, the energies, what we are co-creating with, what we are bringing into this life and sharing with others, if we allow that just to be an open door and we don't have support and keep it protected, it can be abused and taken advantage of by other egos that just see energy, just see light, just see another form of use for energy they don't have to generate, but they can, try to abuse and manipulate that, So this definitely it's more like honoring yourself, And that's where a lot of people keep falling into depravity and victim consciousness too, because there's not enough honoring and respecting yourself. It's like everyone's a flower. You got to water the flower to keep the flower going. But ask me this, if you just work all the time, if you're constantly like, someone, you're creating things all the time, you're working all the time, you're helping people all the time, But if that's all you make it about, and those things are more of like that's your task marker, that's what you tally score on your board for yourself at the end of every day. How many people did I help? How many things did I do? And that's what you're really basing your value off of. That's not even anywhere close to self-honoring yourself, and that's what really is missing. It's a depletion within your own being and your soul. I mean, it's like watering yourself. If you're not honoring yourself, respecting yourself, if you're not appreciating or supporting yourself and what you actually are doing, then it's like a black hole. It's like there's no floor. Anything you're doing is just falling through. It's falling away. There's nothing there after, right? And so we get into these spins where we realize that we're pushing and we're doing so much, and we're getting frustrated and agitated because nothing's returning, it's not manifesting, or it's not building, or not working or flowing the way we anticipated, would like it to, expect it to, or what we want it to. And this is getting us to a point where we're getting so frustrated with ourselves and also other people. This is where we start blaming and projecting, when all the while it's requiring us just to look at ourselves, what we're doing. We can't externalize, we can't blame or require something outside of ourselves to happen or to exist or maintain itself in order for us to go forward or expand or to grow stronger or mature. Like, it must, whatever the change is, whatever the catalyst, whatever the evolution is, it must come from an internal place within yourself. That's where the growing and the expansion happens. The experiences that you contract, that's based off vibrational matching, is based off divine laws and manifestation and law of attraction. However, they are all designed in these moments, to be for your highest evolution, for your highest embodiment of your higher self and expansion, your highest healing. Nothing is happening on this planet right now. And this is what I'll say, like with the timeline and everything, what you're co-creating. If you are in distraction, in aloofness, in a dissociation, things like that, of course, that's your experience you choose to be in. However, what God is manifesting in your experience, what she's bringing to you on the timeline, whether you choose it or not, they are all for your highest expansion and healing and higher development and evolution. Like, it's for absolutely of the utmost highest. Everything that you need to move forward, to master yourself, to grow, to embody more of your higher self, everything that is required, or that the divine plan, that's highest for you and your purpose here, Mom's giving you all the experiences for it. It's us literally that are choosing to get in the way, allowing the distractions, allowing ourselves to think we know better, just trying to basically challenge God in a lot of ways. We've seen this energy a lot, especially over the last couple of years, where it's more of like, it's like a fear of being wrong or a fear of not being good enough or adequate enough. So then it's more of like this mental competition, trying to mentally compete with people, or even mentally compete with God. And this is where people attach to information, and they try to, just try to regurgitate information just to make it give out this facade that they are very well, endowed, or they know exactly what they're talking about, when actually, essence, it's more of a mental competition with other people or other bigger ideas. So they feel adequate. They feel, I guess they have a measurement. Thank you, angels. They have a measurement mentality within them, where that's where they gauge people. They gauge if someone looks the part, they sound the part, they act the part. That's like the comparison. Trying to whatever their place of value is, externalizing that with someone else, and if they are better than them, then that gives them some sense of esteem, and it's like this weird roundabout, dumb, dysfunctional thing. Don't really have to go through it, but that in a lot of ways is definitely with just again back to people giving up, people not honoring themselves, not respecting themselves. This is a massive leak. It's a depletion to yourself, and where you don't spend enough time lifting yourself up. Literally looking at your work, looking at your art, looking at your the things you put together, whether it's typing or writing things, what you're singing or physical exercise, taking care of your body, just whatever it is, And this definitely goes for the people's physical body too, because a lot of the conditioning and programming on this planet is strange, has a strange humanity from their own physical body, where we compare a lot of times, we have attached to other people's, looks or how their body looks and things, or we try to get our body to look like another certain type, and just all kinds of different things where we have, basically alienated ourselves from our own body, where we are not happy with it, don't trust it, don't love it, don't take care of it, don't support it, don't nourish it properly. And so a lot of this has a lot to do with, also doing that, working with the physical body, that's a lot to do with the self-honor, self-appreciation, showing yourself self-gratitude and getting yourself to a place where you are giving that back to yourself physically even too. Because we spend a lot of times doing a bunch of things or just being lazy, not doing nothing at all, which still is the same way of a depletion. Either way, you're not loving yourself. Either way, you're not, giving yourself that energy back. So whether you spend most of the time as a martyr and savior programmer and just constantly give to other people, do for other people, or ultimately if it's on the other flip side of the extreme, you're not doing anything for anyone or even yourself, it's still the same thing. You're not loving you. Right. And so with not giving this energy back to yourself, not nourishing and filling yourself, there's nothing able to come out. There's nothing to be inspired. There's no passion. There's no motivation. There's no spark or catalyst that able to get energy moving for you to therefore produce anything out of love, because you're not giving it to yourself. You must water yourself. You must love yourself and fill yourself with the same things you would fill others or share and give to others. You're not going to find it in other people. I have one more video I want to show you before we go from Mr. Beautiful Robin Williams. Here we go.
The difficulty in maintaining your own beliefs in the face of others. Now, those of you, I see the look in your eyes like, I would have walked differently. Well, ask yourselves why you are clapping. And we all have a great need for acceptance. But you must trust that your beliefs are unique, your own, even though others may think them odd or unpopular, even though the herd may go, that's bad. Robert Frost said, 2 roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
I remember that quote from elementary school. I think my teacher had a poster on the wall. It was this pretty little picture of a fox going down this little yellow strip in a road that had a bunch of brush overgrown and everything like that, and there was this big huge roadway next to it, and the fox was gonna go down that one. And I grew up with that saying, and just choosing the road less traveled. It's so inspiring and it's very passionate in the way, because isn't that ultimately what we all did in a lot of ways? There was a lot of things we didn't agree with in life starting out. There was a lot of things that we were not happy with in this life, and as we grew older and as we moved through this life and as life kept happening all around us, it brought new things into our hearts that we wished for, that we dreamed for, that we wanted to do for others, or wished that there was some way possible we could make it happen. Those did not just jump out of nowhere. They came from your life. They came from your pain and suffering. They came from the things that inspired you, the things that touched your heart along the way to this point, the things that you have loved and still do love. That's where your dreams and wishes came from. And that's a lot of what we have had to do our entire time in order to keep those dreams safe and those wishes safe, and to still keep, what little part of our sanity we still have left to this point in our life to still make it somewhere, and we all chose the road less traveled by. That's why we're all here at this point. The rest of the world is still sleeping. So, you, I, everyone here, we have chosen the road less traveled by others. We have, paved this path behind God, and we are making it wider and wider and wider and more noticeable and more seen and more obvious and more of a grooved path, easier for others to tread. We are doing that every single moment, every second of every day for the rest of the people on this planet. And we will continue to keep doing it. We will continue to keep raising the ceiling higher and higher, and we will open up the sky and show humanity that there is nothing to fear, and that the only things that we have to work on and have to get out of our system is this stupid ego inside and around us that's just trying to mess it up. But we've got it. God has ensured and secured our ascension, and we are very much loved and supported across all creation, from all the angels, God, all the galactics, everyone, you name it. They all love us and are so very grateful for us constantly. And yeah, again, thank you for all your support. Thank you for everyone who continues to, again, work on yourself, keep pushing things, not giving up on yourself, realizing that there is a purpose for you. There is dreams, there's wishes, there's passions, there's so many things that you can use to fuel yourself, to lift yourself up and fill yourself with so much, electrical igniting lights that you can just blast off with it and see what you're capable of. Whether you have someone to stand with you or not, that's not really the point. Is you came here for a reason. That didn't involve you needing someone down here to do it with you. You've got this. You are empowered. You are so creative, and you are magical beyond your conception. And you just have to be able to tap into that, feel it from your heart, and allow Mom's love just to pour through you and show you what that is. And everyone's different. Everyone's unique. So stop trying to look at someone else to show you how it goes or what it's supposed to be, because only you can do that. Okay, and that's only going to come from the trust and love within yourself and accepting that you are divine by birthright, you are celestial royalty, and you are here for a purpose because you already knew what that was before you got here. So there's not really anything to do with questions or needing someone to show you. You've already got it. It's inside of you. You got to feel in your heart. You got to love yourself. And just doing these simple things. And once you do that, you're going to start seeing it's going to change everything around you. It's going to change your life, how you interact with other people, and what your life really is able to reflect back to you. It's going to be fascinating. And drink your water, folks. The water is absolutely 100% important, right now in these moments. And it's definitely, you got to hydrate the body. The more the hydrated your body is, the more you're able to process, the more you're able to release energy, the more you're able to get things moving and grooving. And it doesn't matter how productive you are, it doesn't matter how active you are. If you are not literally super hydrated, you are diminishing your chances of processing and transforming. You are slowing your body down and probably creating conflict, more friction as more energies are trying to come in, but it doesn't have the water that can help transfer it easier through your body. Another little tip, everyone ever said heard of water and electricity, how electricity moves fastest through water, right? Because it's highly conductive. So electricity moving through water, same thing. The water in your body, energy coming in, electricity can move fastest through water. So if your body is more hydrated, then the energy coming in has a higher ability to transfer faster and work through your body quicker. Because you're hydrated, the energy, electricity can move quicker through your body and do its thing. Because if you're not hydrated, then it has to kind of force its way through your body more, and that creates friction and inflammation within the body, and then we start having issues and problems. We don't feel so good. It gets a little uncomfortable. So love yourself, folks. Give yourself the self-care, self-love that you not deserve, but you are worthy of, and only you can make that choice for yourself. Mother loves you. Definitely do your ceremonies, ground yourself, stay hydrated. We are coming up to a new chapter real soon. Oh, also, we are also launching a whole new, I don't even know what you call it, a whole new segment type piece. It's going to be on Anchor, so we're launching podcasts. So definitely I feel we're going to get that set up or probably sent out starting tomorrow. So we will be going on podcasts every day. Aurora will be, and then also I'll be going live on podcasts as well, probably in the evening time. But we'll get those posted as well. And then I feel for this, the idea was that we were going to announce it on Telegram. So then on Telegram, we're going to have a post on there for, Q&As, question and answers. And then if anyone wants to get on there and just be a part of the live podcast, if people want to come on and talk while we're doing the podcast recording, that's another cool way we do it live. And we just probably have more interaction with other people. So it'll be fun. All right. So love you all so much. Take care of yourselves. Roxy says something about the 7-day garlic cleanse. That's another cool tip. Especially with, the equinox energies are heavily targeting the emotional energies. So, with the emotional energies, Mom shared a lot of moments that when it processes and releases from the body, a lot of times for whatever reason, it's going to come through the mouth. So people who are working with a lot of mouth issues, bad breath, toothache, gums ache, different things going on with the mouth and the teeth, it's all the emotional energy purging and releasing from the body, but it's going to come through the mouth area. So doing the garlic cleanse also helps with detoxing and flushing those toxins from your body, also from the lymph nodes around your neck and down your back and everything as well. So that'll help you too. So definitely the 7-day garlic cleanse is an awesome, excellent practice if you want to stick to that one and make it through. And just every day do 7 cloves, chop it up, eat that once a day for 7 days, and then boom. Helps decalcify your pineal gland, and also that heavily works on the blood and everything else in your body, just clearing out the heavy metals, chemicals, things in the blood, toxins. Also for people who are on pharmaceuticals and you have actively or still do put pharmaceuticals or chemicals or drugs in your system, that'll help clean your system out too as well. All right, so all right, folks, I love you all, people. You all are so beautiful. Grateful to every single one of you that keep pushing, keep loving yourselves, keep sharing the love and expressing yourself, getting it out. Being spontaneous is the best key to kicking that ego's ass and just getting yourself, just doing the things that you haven't done before, new choices. Go for a walk, go for a run, go for a bike ride, go stick your head out the car, window when it's going down the highway. I don't know. Do something different that's playful, that's fun, it's spontaneous. You've never done it like that before, and just, let yourself be more free. Gotta work on being less rigid and like a billboard, be flexible, be relaxed and peaceful, breathe to yourself and allow yourself just to go more flow with it. Whatever is happening, whatever's popping up, just deal with that. Don't rush yourself and try to deal with tomorrow and next week already when it's not even there yet. Let's be more, you want to talk about practical, let's be really practical and be present moment practical, which has to do with just right now. So if we can do that and manage that, we'll be happier people by tomorrow. We will be back with you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Mountain Time and 8 a.m. Eastern Time with beautiful Buddha and Jeri. And until next time, folks, we'll see you tomorrow. Love yourselves, take care of yourself, and be gentle and kind. All right, take care.